Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome to the 24th episode of Adad the Autistic Alien. I'm very happy that you're here with me today again, and I also want to break the news to you that this will be the last episode under this name, and also I will take a break from podcasting for around a month. So I will start with a new name again in the beginning of October. Simply because, like, you already know that my life is in very much of a turmoil at the moment. Like, I have to move in 9 days and I still don't have a place to go. So, most probably, I will put everything I own into a storage, and then it will be kind of difficult to record the podcast. Plus, like, I feel there is not so much at the moment that I have left to give. And so I want to, I want to do creative things when I feel like my cup is full and I can give, and not when I'm running empty and I'm like really overwhelmed with everything that's happening right now. Also, maybe I should tell you that I got hit by a car 2 days ago and I'm under very strong pain medication. So I'm okay. But just so you know, like, I'm very emotional today because also this is the last time I record this podcast in this house. So I'm very sentimental. And yeah, so I just wanted to make this like a round thing. Also, it's like exactly 6 months now that I'm recording this. So I thought it would be like a beautiful end to this journey, right? So, maybe let's start with the final diagnosis, which is that, like, as I told you, I think that I also now got tested for intelligence and for like borderline. And the results are that I have a normal intelligence with like a very high talent or a higher intelligence in languages and oral expression. Yeah, and that's like kind of something that I already knew before. So, yeah, I'm actually kind of happy. I didn't want to have the label highly intelligent, to be honest. So, and then like there were some borderline tendencies in my past, especially during my teenage years, but they are outgrown now. So, like, maybe like in some situations, I am emotionally unstable, as psychiatrists would say, but I have to like keep against that I would call that like dysregulated or activated from my nervous system and not emotionally unstable. Yeah, because I feel like this emotionally unstable, yeah, I will go into my analysis of psychiatrics afterwards, but like, I feel like this emotionally unstable thing, it's like this pre-level to borderline personality disorder. And to be honest with you, like, the way it was described in the test I took, it's like kind of common with people who bleed every month and who are kind of in a hormonal turmoil to feel that way. So again, I felt like this test was more for people who not bleed or like male persons than to really look into female perspectives of things. So anyways, I don't really care about that too much now. So there's no borderline, or at least not anymore. And then there is autism tendencies, but not enough to get a diagnosis. And I'm highly sensitive from birth. Most probably, my mental issues stem from a childhood as a highly sensitive person in an environment that had no space for that, or no knowing. And here comes something in again that I already covered last week, but I want to cover it again. Because, like, now I dug into it and there are people still doing that. So now I'm like super furious and I want to get the word out, and please talk to anyone you know about that. You do not let your baby cry. If you cannot handle a baby that cannot sleep through for maybe the first year, then you should not have a baby. if your baby has to fit your schedule, you should not have a baby, okay? Yes, your baby will stop crying at some point, but guess what your baby learns? Your baby learns that there will never be help. Your baby learns that it's not welcome on this planet with its needs. Your baby learns that you think that this little tiny thing, that all it has is needs. There is no intention in a baby. None. All it has is needs. And the only way it has to communicate is screaming. Yeah? So, if you believe that these needs are a kind of manipulation of a baby, which is just not able to manipulate, then this baby will start to believe itself that its own needs are a manipulation. Do you understand? Can you follow that? Like, whenever I needed something, like as a baby, but also later on, I was always like it was not that I just needed that, but I did it because I wanted attention, or because I didn't want to do some chores or whatever. It was never that I just had to do that right now because it was one of my needs. And this created this minority complex inside of me, that I actually believed myself that every need I have is actually only a manipulation of the other. That everything I need is not okay, and that I'm not okay for needing it. And there you have the perfect ground for any mental illness or personality disorder to evolve. So, like, I have to tell you, like, after this, let's call it a self-study into modern psychiatrics, although I really don't think that the word modern applies to what kind of tests I did now, or were done with me. So, in my personal analysis, like, I looked into where does, I'm not talking about autism and things that you are born with, yeah? Like, I was born highly sensitive, like, that was, like, a given, yeah? But that they let me cry so they can sleep through at some point, that's not okay. And to believe that your baby just wants to manipulate you into getting your attention or whatever, I mean, sorry, but that's your main job, to be there for your baby, otherwise don't make one. And like, I'm sorry, but I'm really furious because I thought that this was like a common sense thing now, that we don't do that anymore. That we don't let babies cry it out. Yeah? You can be there, and like, you have to be there. You are their safe haven. Yeah? They cannot regulate themselves. Babies cannot regulate themselves. And if there is no one that regulates them in the beginning of their life, they will have super hard times to regulate themselves, and guess what? They will start to self-medicate. That means that you will start to take drugs. And that's where all these like drug addicts come from. It comes from that in the beginning of our life, we were like subconsciously taught that our needs aren't valid and that we have to take care of them ourselves. Although we didn't have the space to learn what our needs were, because all our needs were perceived as some kind of manipulation. And what do you do with that? In a society that, like, it's still a taboo to kill yourself. You take drugs. You drink alcohol every evening. You smoke weed all day. Because you never learn how to regulate yourself. And it's so much harder to learn that when you're a grown-up. I mean, that's what I did in the past 5 years. I learned to regulate myself. And that's something that I should have learned in the first 3 years of my life. You know? And I strongly believe that most people who have like mental health issues, mental illnesses, and personality disorders that developed maybe after the childhood or during the childhood, or in fact they never found a way to like regulate themselves, and then everything is in a constant stress, and this will lead to substance abuse in some way or another. It can also be binge eating or having anorexia or whatever. And that will lead to like even poorer mental health. And because we're so trained that nobody can actually help us, like for a long time in my life, I couldn't accept help from other people because I just never thought they were qualified. And at some point, I realized that that's because there was never there was no help. Like, I was there crying. I was super scared, alone in this dark room, and nobody came. And I knew that they hurt me, but they didn't come. And so, what's the point in even crying? What's the point in asking for help if that's how you were welcomed in this body and on this planet? When there was already no space for you. How could you hold space for yourself? It's not possible. And this is a very harsh example. Not everybody was left to cry it out on their own from their parents. But it goes further. Every time that instead of helping you as a kid, learning how to have emotions and how to regulate yourself and learn how to deal with them, just how you have to learn how to deal with your own physical body, oftentimes there's no space. There is only space for how the adults feel and how the adults think. And there is not a lot of space for how the children feel and how the children think. So they are not met where they are. And that, again, causes disembodiment. It causes that we don't want to be here. It's not safe. It's not safe. So, yeah. That's a very big thing that is so important to me, that I believe we really should all learn how to regulate our nervous systems ourselves. Because a lot of people also I don't know, maybe you also know people that instead of processing things for themselves, let's say somebody, one of my friends experienced something with another person. And instead of first looking at it maybe from a perspective or whatever, or regulating themselves, they call a lot of people. If they only would call one person, it wouldn't be a problem. Then it would be a way of co-regulation. But the type of people I mean are the ones that then they have to they kind of process what happened over talking to super many people about it. And then they never build their own opinion and their own experience about what really happened, because they can't hold that space for themselves. Somebody else has to tell them, and because one person is not enough, they will go around, talk to many people. And it's also kind of because they cannot hold the space for themselves, all the others have to hold the space for themselves. For them, I'm sorry. So because they cannot hold it for themselves, by, for example, journaling, or just maybe meditating, or doing nervous system regulation techniques, they kind of just go out and spread it all over the world. And they feel super justified in what they did and how they did everything. And that's just one very big example, because this stems from a very deep rooted insecurity, this behavior. But the thing is that it's when I experience somebody behaving like that, to me I just feel there is so much energy that's wasted by spreading it in all other people's lives. And there is so much sense of self lost, because they don't really look at what it does with them. And they don't really hold the space for themselves to be with the experience that they had. Because in the end, nobody else that they talk about it with had that experience. Nobody else was there. So, and, I'm a big fan of reflection and all of these techniques, but it's not even really about that. For me, it's more about all of us. If you look at the world, I see so many outbursts of exactly that energy. And that's kind of like, like all telenovelas and all that stuff, it's all like based on that. The baseline is nobody is regulated. Everybody feels like they're the main character of this movie that's going on this planet. And because we're all so dissociated, we cannot feel into each other. So, like, there are people in front of us needing help, and we will not help them because we feel not like it's our problem. Yeah? And, yeah, I just feel like with everything I've learned over these past 6 months, let's say, to me, it would be like, before I was like, oh yeah, Earth is kind of boring and like, let's talk about other things and how they do it in other worlds and everything. And right now, like, all I want to be is like a terrestrial. And all I want to like talk about is regulation and not more activation. Instead of bringing more and more and more and more, where is the peace? Where is the quiet? Where is the emptiness? Because it's the emptiness that opens spaces. It's not the fullness. And everybody is so full of their own lives that maybe there are so many things happening and there could be even more happening if we could like let go of that fullness and embrace emptiness for once. And in that emptiness, as I said, the regulation of our autonomous nervous system and creating spaces within ourselves where we feel safe and we feel seen and we feel heard, and then go out and create these spaces on the outside to the best as we can. And we will do mistakes. That's part of the process. That's how we learn. But I feel like we've all been so pumped with this adrenaline of, oh, the solution is in more. And now, like, maybe it took me losing everything, or maybe standing on the brink of losing everything, to understand that it's about less. And I already had that before, I suppose. This insight, that's kind of how I lived in the past 3 years. But I realized it in a much deeper level now. About because what I realized is, as soon as I feel safe, the more is not attractive anymore. The more is attractive as long as I feel empty. Or as long as I feel that there's something wrong with me, there's something different with me and I have to adjust, or I have to find this one solution, this one answer that will like have me sleep at night and that will give my life a purpose and all of these things. Yeah, that's like all these mental movies, let's call them. And the more I generate these spaces where I feel safe within myself and then on the outside, the less I'm interested in more, because there is no gap to fill. And I very strongly believe that the only way that we can turn this whole story around at this point in time is when we can find a way to like get this like global regulation started, so to speak. Because regulated people will buy much less. They will spend less. They will like spend it on maybe better things like helping others instead of like buying even more for themselves, because they are not empty. The thing is, like, if you look at the world and how much humanity is killing it, so to speak, I know that Earth will survive, like, I don't worry about that, but we kind of like kill our own ecosystem that we need to survive. So we kill ourselves. And this is like a very slow suicide. And we dig so deep into the earth and we find this oil there, which is kind of the blood of the earth, and we dig it out to have plastic everywhere for every shit. And we want this plastic to fill the hole in our souls. And the fucked up thing is that the hole in our souls is there because we lost the connection to earth through this digging, through all of these practices that were not nourishing the planet. So it's like this devil's circle. It will never end. We will never find on the outside what we need, because what we actually yearn for is regulation. We all yearn for a regulated autonomous nervous system. And for that, we would need so many hugs that most of us feel uncomfortable already even thinking of that. Like, I don't know how many, but like everyone that's in a relationship is, I believe, like very, or is considering themselves happy at this moment because they know, okay, I have this partner that I can go home to and I get a cuddle. And I feel like it's so fucked up how all this Hollywood romantic shit really has like, and also before, like all these prude centuries were not really helpful. That we should really normalize body contact again. There are so many biological things that we miss that we need to feel safe, because we are biological beings no matter what our mind tells us. We are biological first and foremost. Spirit has a very strong impact on biology, but like if we don't feel safe, none of it can work. Like, spirit can be so strong within you, but if you don't feel safe and you are not regulated and you are not able to regulate yourself, then you will not be able to deal with life, And I think I said that in the last podcast, that I don't think it's about what life deals you. I believe it's what you do with what you're dealt. Like, for sure, there are things I can learn from the situation that I'm in at the moment, but I will not take responsibility for this situation, because the responsibility for my situation, or for me not finding a new home, is first and foremost in the late time capitalism stage that we are in right now, where everybody's so greedy and feeling like they can get a buck of their next one, and saying they know about the Bible and they're Christian, but they didn't really understand, because Christianity got kind of capitalized as well, didn't it? And so that's one thing to blame. And I'm not blaming the person that plays along. I'm blaming the system that's working very well, but it's just a fucked up system. Then, like, that car hit me, for example, like, it was just like, it was an accident. An accident happened. And if I, like, interpret so much into it, like, oh my God, la 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 la, then I'm also I'm always either the victim or I am the one who harms. And I talked before about the creator, yeah? But again, I don't believe in the spiritual bullshit that I am the creator of the whole reality. My creation is 50% and the outside creation is 50%. Yeah? So no matter what I change within me, like, this car would have still hit me. End of story. Because maybe, like, I signed in my karmic contract that I need to get hit by a car in this lifetime, and it just should be like the easiest car, like bumping into a car ever. It's not my mistake, like, and like, I think the worst for me is the shock, kind of. I'm really confused still. But yeah, anyways, like, I'm refusing to, like, take responsibility and be like, oh yeah, I have to learn it. And from that I learned something. I feel like I'm gonna close Adad the Autistic Alien with the epiphany I had, and I love it so much. Like, how they always talk about the school of life or the university of life, yeah? Like, we are attending the university of life. And I had this epiphany, because if that's like, if there is a university, then there is a test. And this could be a test on how well do you cope with being hit by a car, and la 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 la. And I never liked it, like, I just like I like I accept school as a format, although I would do it differently than they do it now. But life to me is something different. And now I went to the gym, as you already know. And so my epiphany is, what if life is a gym? And, like, I'm in this super crazy situation where I'm about to lose my home and my workplace and everything I've built. And after I actually just rebuilt it, like maybe a year ago or half a year ago. And like, I'm crying a lot and I feel very devastated, or I felt very devastated, but I was dealing with it. I was still looking for flats who would be available immediately, but I was also like looking into storages and how to organize everything and so on. Yeah. So when life is a gym, then, and like, if you've been at the gym before, there are these machines where you can do, like, I don't know the word in English. In German it's Krafttraining, so it would be power training, workout, I guess, muscle workout. I don't know. I don't give a shit. So you will understand what I mean. So, and when you like hit the point where you can do all your sets on this machine with this kind of weight, only then will you put on weight to kind of like, like get to the muscle again, because you have to break the muscle to grow it, right? So what if the gym of life, or like maybe life would be like the trainer in the gym of the universe. So life would be the trainer in the gym of the universe. And it would come and be like, oh, look at Dara there. She's like doing this training of losing everything that she cares about, and she's doing so good. I think that muscle's grown fully now, and look at how many sets she can do with it. I feel like she has to put on more weight now. And getting hit by a car is not a test, and it's not like a punishment, or it's not a blessing. It's just more weight on my muscle machine. And I really love that perspective. I love it so much, because it kind of takes away also this perspective of, how do I deserve that? Because if I have a good fitness trainer, I trust him that if he tells me I can put on more weight, and he knows my goals, right? Life knows my goals in life, so to speak. Yeah. So if life is like, you can also handle it with that. And then it's also not really, it doesn't have to happen for a reason. We don't have to find a mental reason why now this is happening to kind of be able to deal with it. And we also can let go a little bit of the control, or the need of control that comes with, if I blame myself for things that happen, it's very easy, because then I can control. But then if like something like this happens where you did everything right and you still get hit by a car, then you realize you're not in control, and you're never in control. It's just an illusion that you're in control. But what I can control is how I react and how I perceive what happened. And when I go into, how do I deserve this? Why are there so many stones being put in my way? Then this kind of weakens me, And when I go into blaming, like, like the driver of the car, he was more shocked than I was. Like, I kind of had to calm him down. And so, like, I don't want to blame him, because it was just a stupid accident. Like, of course he did something wrong, but mistakes happen, and like he reacted so perfectly, and like luckily I'm really not like that bad. I'm in a lot of pain, but otherwise it's okay. And a little bit of a shock, as I said. But so, like, I'm like, there is no one to blame. That just happened. And I believe that often in life we have control mechanisms or maybe even abuse mechanisms in food or in sports or in drugs or whatever, because we are so in need of controlling. If we do everything right, nothing will happen to us, and that's just not gonna happen. Yeah. So I strongly believe that when I can like start to control how I perceive the things and how I react to them, then that's a totally different aspect, no? And when we look at it at like as this the gym of life, like there are people at my gym that are like, let's say, rather old. Let's say they're over 70, and they're only there to stay fit. So that means they go there and they do these exercises, but it's not like really pushing themselves. Yeah, they're just there to like stay healthy and stay mobile and everything. And then there are people who like maybe want to lose weight. Then there are people who want to gain weight. Then there are people who just want to tone their bodies. Then there are people like me who are just to have too much energy and maybe also go there for mental health reasons. And in life it's the same. Like maybe, like at the gym, I like there are different kinds of gyms, of course, but the ones I go to or I prefer are like nobody will judge you if you only take the lightest weight, because everybody just thinks it's cool that you're there and that you kind of like you do something for yourself. There is no judgment whatsoever. It's not about how thin are you, and for sure there are some people that maybe show off their bodies more than others, but like the vibe, I really appreciate that the vibe is just so fresh and nice and very respectful. And like if you look at the people there, that some like maybe had an accident and they can't really walk and they have to train their legs, and then of course you don't expect them to lift like 100 kgs with their legs, right? But then when people get born into life, we expect all of them to be able to lift the same weights. Yeah, people so often in my life, they told me I'm so strong. And I came to the conclusion that I think I trained a lot of my muscles, be it emotional, mental, or astral, in my past lives. And that's why I'm so strong on a mind level, because like I trained these muscles. And maybe that's why like so many like rather hard things happen to me. Like, like I'm accident prone, as it also states in my human design, and I start to really feel that now. And also like, like just like all my life, like things could have gone pretty good, but always something like didn't go that good. And a lot of times I just was like very unlucky, or like maybe I also was too trusting with people. And I know other people that were as trusting as I was, and they didn't end up in as fucked up situations as I did. But I'm just like, I have this like hand of like just choosing maybe wrong stuff, because again, I didn't feel safe. So now I feel safe with people that don't make me feel safe. Yeah. So that's what also a nervous system regulation is very helpful for. Anyways, I realized that I think that maybe all of these weird things happen to me because, I'm still embodied on Earth again, and this is a fitness studio. So, it's a fitness studio. And so, like, of course I will still have to train some muscles. It just doesn't make any sense otherwise, does it? And another epiphany that comes with this whole the universe is a gym and life is your fitness trainer story is that when you train and you kind of master a weight, the next weight comes. And maybe you want to have a look at your life and look at how many times you actually mastered something, and in the moment you mastered it, the next thing came. Because that's totally my life experience, is also the life experience of all of my clients. And I never met anybody that didn't have it. You know, like as soon as I kind of, let's say I learned to train an emotional muscle. And now I have trained this emotional muscle and I can lift 40 kg with it. And then, like as soon as it's easy to lift these 40 kg, there will be like 45 kg to lift. Yeah? So let's say like just to give you like maybe an example that you understand better, or like just to give you a picture to it, like maybe you're shy and then you learn how to talk to people. And then, like, suddenly you will be confronted with people that maybe talk so much that you will actually have to learn to set boundaries and be like, oh, yeah, like, can we talk a little bit less? Or, like, I'm overwhelmed by like, the information you just give me in such a quick amount of time. Or, you know what I mean? Or, like, we learn how to relate in a healthy way to the people around us. And then already we lose that house again and we have to like maybe like be okay with living with new people, like it's happening to me now. And you know, like it just never stops. And the reason I'm saying that, or the reason I want to point that out is, you know, maybe we can just like stop running so much because there is no end. You know, look at the gym machine. It ends, most of them, I think, at 100 pounds. I don't know how many kgs that are right now, but then you go to the real weights. If you master the machine, there come the real weights, and there is no end to it. Yeah? So, I believe that, like, instead of maybe running somewhere where we mastered it all, and, like, we're the gym masters, and we, like, can push all the weights, once we really deeply integrate that, there will always be more weight and there will always be the next challenge, and it will come exactly when this one is mastered. There is no breaks. Then maybe we can take more time for what we are doing right now. We can be more with what is right now, instead of always looking for this goal, for this finish line that will never appear. It will never appear. And in the moment that I know, well, actually, it will appear in the moment before you will die. Because if you reach that finish line, it's game over, you know? Imagine, like, you're watching the most interesting movie of your life and you really want to know how it ends. And then it's done. And you're like, fuck, no, I don't want it to be done. I wanted to keep on watching it. And wouldn't it be sad if we felt like that when we died? That we actually were so occupied with the end or with the finish line that we didn't enjoy the run or the training. Yeah, I think that's a very good sentence to close this little adventure. I thank you so much for being with me through these 6 months, which were very tumultuous for me. And I really hope you enjoyed Adad the Autistic Alien as much as I did. I will be back with another name, and I will also announce it on my social medias and everything once I'm back. And yeah, thank you so much for listening to me, and I hope you really enjoyed it, and I wish you only the best of the best, and hope to hear you again in a month. Bye bye, all the best.